John Cook's stepfather arrived in Rugeley to represent the family on the 23rd of November. Palmer informed him that the deceased had lost his betting books, surprise, surprise, and he further claimed they were no use anyway because all bets were cancelled once the gambler had died. He also told Stevens that Cook had £4,000 in outstanding bills. Stevens had requested an inquest which was granted and held at the town hall. And this tower we're looking at now, the clock tower, is all that remains of Rugeley Town Hall. The rest of it, which would have been to the left and the right, now replaced by more modern buildings. This is where the inquest into John Cook's death took place. A post-mortem examination of Cook's body took place at the Talbot Arms on the 26th of November, and it was carried out by a medical student, Charles Devonshire, and he was assisted by Charles Newton, who was drunk, overseen by Dr. Harland. So here's the, as I said, this is the location of the inquest, just across the corner from where the death took place and where the post-mortem would take place. Again, very lovely architecture. I always say I think the Victorians knew how to build a location. Certainly, if it was like an official building like that. Looking back towards the Talbot, as I said, the post-mortem was taken there. Charles Newton, the assistant, was drunk, and Palmer himself interfered with the examination, bumping into Newton and taking the stomach contents off in a jar, supposedly for safekeeping. Unbelievable. That's a good spot, Carl. The jar containing the stomach contents was sent to Alfred Swain Taylor, the country's preeminent toxicologist, who complained about the poor quality of the samples, and a second post-mortem took place on the 29th of November. Taylor found no evidence of poison, but he still stated in his belief that Cook had been poisoned. Now, these buildings here with the three little windows at the front there, that was the location of William Palmer's house. But some people have said, well, the Palmer's residence was knocked down, but in fact, it's still there behind this frontage. These shops were built in more modern times in what would have been his front garden. So what I'm going to do is go around the corner and we go to the back and we can see the rear of Palmer's house, which still stands as it was. And we got a comparison sketch from the time to show you. So I just think it's quite what's the right word? I think it's probably quite spooky that Palmer lived opposite, and he was probably popping over to the Talbot Arms several times a day to make sure that no one else was interfering with John Cook before he administered the final dose. He certainly wouldn't want any other doctors coming along to interfere and diagnose or poison him. So this is the rear of those frontal properties. This is the corner house, which is now the Indian restaurant. And just coming into view now where the black beams are, the black timber beams, that's the rear of William Palmer's house, as it was when he lived there. As I said, we'll just get round to the back, and then we can see a comparison sketch drawn at the time of the trial. Hi there, Maria. How strange that most people gravitating around one individual. Yeah, in hindsight, it's funny, isn't it? People said, well, I wonder about all these children dying at the time, but didn't think it was suspicious. And then it's only afterwards when people can join the dots. But it does beg a belief that someone didn't recognise this pattern, that Palmer always seemed to be in the centre of all these things going on. So this is a contemporary sketch at the time of the trial, drawn from basically Palmer's garden, which is at the bottom of the picture there, and you can see the very tall chimneys and then the lower arch, the lower peaks on the. I read a comment as he looked like a peel. So yeah, this is the best I can get. It probably would have been better if I could have stood a bit more to the right, but there's that building standing up there now. So I'll just imagine Palmer perhaps in those rear rooms, concocting his plans and worrying about how he's going to pay his debts. Yes, Roxanne, the child with the chambermaid did live. As I said, the eldest son with his wife Anne was the only, what would I say, sort of genuine heir to the genuine Palmer. son who survived, but the child with the chambermaid did live and was never heard of again. Probably, no doubt, trying to keep his links with William Palmer as much a secret as he could. Now, going back to the post-mortem, Palmer wrote to the coroner at the inquest, requested the verdict be given as a death by natural causes, and he enclosed a £10 note in his letter. Unbelievable. So the coroner's tried to be bribed to get the result that Palmer wanted. And the inquest jury delivered their verdict on the 15th of December, stating that John Cook died of poison willfully administered to him by William Palmer. Palmer was then arrested on the charge of murder and forgery because a creditor had told the police his suspicions that Palmer had been forging his mother's signature, and detained at Stafford Jail. An Act of Parliament, as I mentioned a moment ago, the Central Criminal Court Act of 1856, was passed to allow the trial to be held at the Old Bailey in London, as it was felt that a fair jury could not be found in Staffordshire, where detailed accounts of the case and deaths of his children were printed in detail in local newspapers. The Home Secretary ordered that the bodies of Anne and Walter Palmer be exhumed and re-examined. Walter was too badly decomposed, although Dr. Swain Taylor found antimony in all the organs in Anne's body. The prosecution at the subsequent trial, had the last word, and an image was painted of Palmer as a man desperate in need of money in order to avoid debtor's prison. And he murdered his friend for his money, and who had covered his tracks by sabotage in the post-mortem. And the jury deliberated for just over an hour before returning a verdict of guilty. The judge, Lord Campbell, handed down a death sentence to no reaction at all from Palmer. Although he was tried in London at the Old Bailey, Palmer was returned back to Stafford, where he was taken to Stafford Prison, and he was executed on the 14th of June 1856, and approximately 30,000 people estimated to be in attendance to watch his hanging. And I really like this. So people talk about famous last words, and I like this. As he stepped onto the gallows, Palmer is said to have looked at the trapdoor and said, "Are you sure it's safe?" Lovely line there. I think if I was ever going to be executed, that would be the line I'd use. Anyway, Palmer was buried beside the prison chapel in a grave filled with quicklime to get the body to decompose quickly. And after he was hanged, his mother, still at the house near the old St Augustine's that we started the tour at, his mother is said to have commented, "They've hanged my saintly Billy." Now we're heading back into the new St Augustine's. There's a couple of final stops to make, linked with the Palmer family and the Palmer case, and again, it's a lovely little place to visit. If you're in the Midlands and you have an afternoon, do pop in and look. Nice one, Tammy. Safe enough for him to fall through. That's all you need. That's all you need. But Rugeley, if you talk to people that have an interest in crime, you mention Rugeley in Staffordshire, you're going to say, oh yes, the Prince of Poisoners. But I think it's got a bit of an unfair reputation. It's a lovely little market town, lots of history. Aside from the poisonings of 15 people, we'll put that to one side, and definitely worth a visit in its own right. But we're heading up to the what I'll call the new St Augustine's from 1822, because there's two final stops to see on the Palmer story here, and I'm going to walk around the back of the church here for the first little stop, the first sight to see. Hi, Ronnie Lynn. Yeah, he's believed to have poisoned up to 15 people, including his children. The man in the pub who he changed to a drinking contest. I haven't got. I'll have to look through my notes, Tina, and I'll do a post on the channel afterwards with the list of the victims. It's one of those things, isn't it? Probably a bit like Harold Shipman. We mentioned earlier that we don't know the true number. But there's certainly enough suspicious deaths linked or surrounding the story of Dr. William Palmer to certainly think that he may have had a hand in their demise. So this is this is St Augustine's, and this would have been as it would have been known by William Palmer and people at the time of the murder of John Cook in 1855. So quite unusual, really. I think that I'm not sure what colour you'd call that or what style you'd call that stone, really. But we're going to head around the back here. I was pleased that the signal held out when I was shooting the footage, because I was a bit concerned that going out away from the signal would drop out. So certainly just enough to pick up the footage here. It is Lear, isn't it? Lots of again. I could have gone inside, but I didn't on this occasion. It's tricky when you go in and you're filming something live, and people say, "Oh, you're here to look at the lovely stained glass windows." And so no, I'm here to look at the links with the Prince of Poisoners. Anyway, this stone on the floor here, which we're looking at, this is the Palmer family plot. Used to be this would be on the top of a proper tomb. At some point the tomb was demolished and the stone just lying on the floor there to mark the Palmer family. Now it's interesting that it's tucked right around the back of the church. It's quite weather beaten. I did get in to see how many we could see. Now we've got Joseph Palmer, that's William's father, and a couple of his uncles. A couple of the siblings are also named on there. As again, you can see, it's quite weather beaten there, and we can just make out Palmer, hopefully on that spot. But it's interesting that it's tucked around the corner, sort of out of sight, really, of the main public. Thank you, Ronnie Lynn, for your tip. It does, Carl. Yeah, I totally think that. Now I'm pretty sure that on the church records there will be a record of the Palmer family that's buried there. But I as I said, I think it's interesting, especially in comparison with the final stop just around the other side of the church. It's interesting that the Palmer family are sort of tucked out of sight. William Palmer, obviously not buried there. As I said, he's buried at Stafford Prison in the common ground within the prison walls. But back round to the front, and this is like the main thing where I started the tour, in sight of the Palmer house and the old St Augustine's. It's interesting that the position of John Cook, the victim, the position of his grave. We're just coming up to that now. Very, very prominent. And here we are. This is where poor John Cook, whose supposed friend William Palmer killed him for his money and his gambling, his betting money. He's got almost pride of place, really. This is right at the front of the church door to St Augustine's now. But it's an interesting, quite I think bizarre placement. Whether they just felt they had like more reason to be commemorated at the front there. Here we can see John Parsons Cook, sacred to the memory of John Parsons Cook. Again, quite faded there. If we can make out, it doesn't say he was murdered. It says that he basically lost his life or ended his life here in Rugeley. But if we look where it is, so it's at the front of the church, which is one thing. It's pretty nice that he's remembered that way. If we can make out any more of that writing there. It does say more. I really can't make it out. I think what I have to do is enhance that image and see if we can get more contrast in there. But again, heading round to the foot of John Cook's grave, it literally is diagonally the other side of the road to William Palmer's childhood home. There it is. That red brick building above the fence is where Palmer grew up and where his mother lived at the time that John Cook was buried in that spot. and obviously she carried on living there for several more years. It's bizarre, isn't it? It's almost like a slap in the face, I think, for John Cook, that you can't even have like a final resting place in a peaceful spot like the Palmer plot at the back of the church. You're going to be forever remembered in the same eye line as your murderer's childhood home. I think it's quite strange. Anyway, as was often the case in the Victorian era, when with an executed murderer, they'll take a death mask. Many of these appear at, certainly from the Old Bailey and Newgate prison executions are still held at the Black Museum or Crime Museum at Scotland Yard. And I think it's popping on at the moment. There was a death mask taken following the execution of Dr. William Palmer. And you get a bit of a sense of what obviously you'll see exactly what he looked like as opposed to that perhaps fanciful sketch there when it comes up. I'm not quite sure where the death mask is held now. It probably is in Stafford Museum, perhaps somebody knows. Here he is, and obviously the lighting on there is pretty spectacular, isn't it? Little bit of a damage to the nose there, but this is the face of the Prince of Poisoners, or as Dickens said, the most what was his quote? In fact, his actual quote was the most evil of villains in the dock at the Old Bailey. Does he look like the face of a man that you'll trust, given his background? I don't think so. Yeah, pretty creepy. Certainly with that lighting there, doesn't it? So there we are. That is the story of the Prince of Poisoners. That's a good question, Maria. I think they probably would, but obviously they'd shave their hairs. I mean, certainly the full death masks that you see, not just the face, have the hair shaved off and everything, so that they can do the full mask there. But he looks as though, judging by his features, he's not been suffering for want of food and going out fine dining and drinking with his companions. Ingratiate himself in with his people, with his friends, trying to no doubt find a way of getting some money from them. Serene for a death mask, Carl. Yeah, I mean, you generally, when the ones I've seen, they almost look like they're asleep. They're sort of quiet, relaxed features, and obviously would be taken while he was lying on the slab before he was buried in the Stafford Jail grounds there. So there we are. Turn it back round. I hope you've enjoyed that little talk. It's interesting that people have lived in Staffordshire, didn't know about the story. It's it's probably one of those cases, like many of the Victorian ones which I especially like, are probably forgotten, as I say, because they're solved and the notoriety is ended. But if you're almost like a criminal historian or of interest, is where you're going to pick up your continue your interest and read about these things. And again, it's quite interesting for me. You read about these stories. I've got a couple of books on Palmer. It's quite interesting when you read these things and then go and visit, and somewhere like the Talbot Arms where the murder took place, still there. I doubt it's very similar inside, but it's quite, I wouldn't say the word creepy, but it's interesting going back and visiting these spots. You really do get a sense of what times were like at this time. So so thank you everybody for your comments. Please do Ronnie Lynn. There's a great book called the best book to get is one of the notable British trials, which is Trial of William Palmer, because it will give you the background and it also give you a verbatim account of the trial. So you'll really read what he has to say himself, and you'll get a real sense of what his character was like. And in any case, if you look at notable British trials, those cases are the verbatim trials are always the best, because you can get a good feel for the person rather than just someone writing their account of it. I just missed a question here from Nicola. Will you continue somewhere else? Absolutely. I've been saying that I'll definitely be continuing. I've heard good reports. Again, I was reading some messages earlier on, I've heard good reports of Facebook Live, which seems to be a very good platform. And the fact that obviously I've got a Facebook page, Adam Wood History, if you don't follow it, and there's a new group which has been put up, Adam's Crime Through Time, something. The link's just been put up there. Thank you, and send it again. And I definitely will be. Now, I love seeing your comments and questions, and I really want that to continue in the new platform. I think Facebook Live does allow that. I know some people have looked at Twitch and various other platforms. It's really what is the most stable, what allows me to have interaction with the viewers, and also really what is going to be the easiest for people to find. I don't really want to go to a platform or an app where people have got to jump through hoops just to find where we're going on. So I'll be announcing a tour, a practice run soon, and then you can as many people can join me as possible, and then we can see when that test is running. We can all see how it goes. Yeah, maybe Twitch, Natalie. I've heard good reports of that, and then Facebook Live could be potentially a good one, and that's the one I'll be testing first. Now, there was a couple of questions that I just missed, and apologies for that. Thank you, Adam. Rugeley, I'm sure, has got some very lovely people in there. I think it's, as I say, it's like anywhere with a historic case. Many people just think of that place, oh, that's where the poison lived, but I think it's definitely got more than that. Hi there, Jeanette. What would I say if I said who put? Yeah, I know Bella in the Witch Elm. Someone mentioned last night about the Hagley Wood case, and I said it's quite similar. It's often linked with the Charles Walton Meon Hill witchcraft case, which I'm doing a talk on Thursday evening, actually. And as many people know, I'm in the middle of writing a book about the Meon Hill witchcraft murder case, which hopefully will be out later this year. So Bella in the Witch Elm definitely is on the list of future tours, Jeanette. And who else do we have here? Hi there, Katie and Evie. Sorry you've joined at the end of the tour. Thanks, Tammy, for linking up there. If you would like to give me a tip, and I'm very grateful that you do, rather than do it through Hago, we're still taking 40% of any tips for a platform that's going to be disappearing shortly. I've created a PayPal link, and Tammy in the chat has just put a link up to where you can find that. It's adamwoodhistory.com/tipjar, and there's a little link there. Hi Valerie, the name of the book is Trial of William Palmer. Trial of William Palmer. It's Notable British Trials series, and you can usually find them on eBay for a few pound, not very expensive. They will be obviously second hand because they're very old series, but definitely worth a purchase if you can find one, and you'll see lots of sketches and a few photographs. But again, the valuable thing for me is the verbatim account of the trial, so you'll hear what everyone had to say. I didn't cover in detail. I will do, Barbara. You certainly won't be wondering where I'm going to be recorded hearing soon. YouTube, Nicole, is another option. I'm going to be posting recorded tours to YouTube anyway. Even if I don't end up doing live stream, I certainly will be posting some of the videos that I've done during Hago, including this one, which will be on YouTube, so you can catch up on those. So if you don't follow that channel, please do. I did read this morning that people had said that they'd got lots of followers, but because the followers hadn't had a chance to look at the videos or make any comments, they'd been removed because YouTube thought that those new followers were just bots. So if you do follow my YouTube channel, please watch the video. There's only a couple up there at the moment. We will be putting more up this coming week, but if you get a chance to watch the video, there's one on the so-called Swanson Marginalia that details the identity of Jack the Ripper. Do watch them, and then YouTube will know you're a real person, and then you won't be removed from my subscriber list. Hi, Diane. The criminals that scare me most are those who can smile and joke. And I think you're right. And I think this is what William Palmer was like, really. Probably at the time, probably many people who were his friends and spent many an hour in the pub with him were probably shocked that he was capable of doing such a thing. But that's it. If they're sort of quite charming, then people just don't suspect them. Thank you, Nicole, for your tip. That's very kind. Thanks. Hi, Beverly. I was hoping to see if you'd type it correctly this time. My pen name, Beverly. In what respect? I do write under my own name, just Adam Wood. So if you look at my website adamwoodhistory.com, you'll see my books on there and links to other tours. Probably can find it on Amazon, Sarah. Again, it won't be one of the old original books. It might be a modern reprint, but it'll be the same book. And again, if you can find it cheap on Amazon, so or Goodreads, sometimes you can find links to it, or Abe Books. They often sell cheap copies. So certainly, just you'll find it somewhere. Trial of William Palmer. Hi, Carl. Hager's going away. Have you not heard the news? Then they sent an email out on Friday saying that it's an unsustainable model and the platform's going to be closing next Tuesday noon UK time. So you'll see, if you look at your guides that you're following, you'll see they're all rushing out to get all their tours done this week before it closes, and trying to find new platforms to carry on with their tours. So I'm sorry that it seems to be a bit of a shock. In fact, I know several people that do follow me that hadn't even received an email that was sent out by Hago letting them know the news there. So hi, Jeanette. We'd like to see that. Yeah, Hago take 40% of the tips, and the guides have 60%, and the 40% it goes towards went towards the running of the platform costs, which obviously quite considerable with the streaming and the bandwidth and the saving of postcards. I don't think that really the 40% of, which is a lot of really commission to take, I think, but I think the fact it's tip based only, that 40% wasn't enough to cover the costs. Who knows? It's too late now, but perhaps a subscription based platform or something like that should have been the way to go ahead. But it's all hindsight now, isn't it? Unfortunately, but yeah, 40%. So again, even if you want to make a very small tip, the tip jar is probably the way to go, because PayPal charge a lot less than 40%. Thank you, Sarah. I hope you enjoyed that. You did say, actually, yeah. So I'm pleased that you did. Yeah, absolutely, Carl. As Maria says, you need to download any postcards that you've got before the 11th. Thank you, Kathy. Hi, Sandra. On YouTube, it's Adam Wood History. So if you find Adam Wood History, you'll see me on there. Again, on my Hago platform, earlier on today, I changed my biography box just to have the links to a Facebook page and the YouTube page. So you should find the links on there. Ted Bundy, Dorothy, exactly right. I wouldn't say that perhaps Palmer was a similar sort of character to Bundy, but he was almost sort of charmed his way into. He obviously was looking for a different outcome. He was looking to befriend rich gentlemen so he could basically get hold of their money rather than Ted Bundy's motives. But I would say personality-wise, quite similar to that. And Ronnie Lynn has said the same there. So thank you, Mandy. Sorry, Deborah. Yeah, I did say that, didn't I? That I'm sure that all the guides are rushing to get their tours out. So don't worry. I will be putting many of my Hago tours that I won't be doing all of them again on the new platform, whatever it is. But some of these they won't be disappearing. I'll put them on YouTube so you can watch them at your leisure. Obviously, I'll record the voiceover and then I'll put them on YouTube so you can watch them whenever you want. So don't worry about missing the tours. That none of them are going to be disappearing. It's very strange, isn't it, not getting the email? Well, it's good job I told you, Leah, isn't it, that it was going. What a shot! It's a bit of a strange one. I think it's probably gone out, but the system has been a bit hit and miss, I think. Thank you, Jeanette. Wow, mate, all these people that haven't got an email. But please, yeah, please do. Thank you, Barbara. Please do share all my links, and if you share all my links and tours, and once I the Facebook group's the easiest because that's where I'll be most active with the posting for now. And when I decide where I'm going to host future tours, I'll be posting that on Facebook first. So follow the Facebook page, Adam Wood History, or the new group that Anne set up. I'll be posting in there. You'll be able to find what I do. And again, I'd be very keen to hear suggestions for future cases and tours, such as Bella in the Wych Elm and cases like that, so we can have discussions. And again, it's a community space for all the voyagers that follow me to have discussions. And I'll be on there as well. We can talk about a case that I've just done a tour on. It could be a really good opportunity to actually enhance what I'm doing already. Hi Dorothy, tip jar is at adamwoodhistory.com/tip jar. That's adamwoodhistory.com/tip jar. Thank you for that. I've not seen Discover Live, Beverly. I've not. I don't know what's going on there. I know there's a big group, isn't there, with lots of the guides in there. They're looking at various options. I'm not sure what the latest is on that. I think it'd be sensible for all the guides to be doing their own experiments and testings while we're waiting for an official report, shall we say, or discussion. So because it may be that what I decide to go with won't be what the large group of guides go with, but we just have to wait and see. I know that Nick, as people have said, has already announced he's going to go with Twitch, so be interesting to see how he goes with that. And it may be that some of the guides sort of swap from platform to platform once they've had a test and run a few tours. What else we have here? Indeed, Carl. I think all the guides are looking at something else. Thank you, Emily, for posting that link again. That's very kind. And thank you, Barbara, for your kind comments. Awesome is not something I usually hear, but that's very kind. Hi, Beverly. I don't have any study in psychiatry or anything like that. True crime was a hobby that I've had really since I was a teenager, young teenager at that. And I've just sort of taken the opportunity because my interest is the social aspect of crime and local history, that sort of thing. So I tend to look at everything from that sort of like lateral thinking, the context of a crime. So as I said, in this case, I'd like to learn the case of the history of Rugeley, what was going on around the place, as much as the poisonings, really. So no study, no degrees or anything, just a healthy or a unhealthy interest in true crime and historic stuff. I don't like anything which is in my lifetime. It's almost like too real, at least in the Victorian stuff, and before that, when all you had was a newspaper sketch. I think it's worthy of study there. Who do we have here? Oh, thank you, Valerie. That's really kind of you. Thank you. The group that Anna set up, the Sunday Crime Club, is it Adam Wood Sunday Crime Club? I think if you can post the think about doing another link, Anne, that'd be great. Hi Barbara, yeah, I'd definitely be doing a test, and what I'm going to do on over the weekend is create a Facebook event in my group that will give the date of when I'm going to run that test. So if as many people can join or watch that test while I'm doing it, then I can get your feedback. I can see how it goes, and then we can see if the chat works, and everything. So I'm going to try Facebook Live first because I think it'll be the